so much.
All right, so we're joined from Houston, Texas, by my friend Loren Brown, sales administrator for Holiday Inn Express there in Houston, founder of Reimagine Hospitality, one of the hottest names in the hospitality hotel industry in there in the great city of Houston. We've got a room full here with us at Velma Jackson High School. We're in the hospitality tourism career cluster, and we're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County schools: Rosa Scott, Madison Central, Germantown High School, Ridgeland High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. So thank you again for joining us for a second time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Now, before we get into all the cool careers in hotels, because I think this is one of the cooler jobs because of all the different people you can meet. Um,
Mhm.
you did not go to college.
Yeah.
You learned the industry from your family, and you've been in for almost 13 years now. So this is a type of industry where you can learn the business and work your way up. So tell us a little bit about your background, uh, growing up in Texas and then getting into the hotel industry at a very young age.
Yeah, so for me, I'm actually a third generation hospitality professional. My parents met working at a Hyatt Regency downtown here in Houston. And my dad was a cook at the time, and my mom was a sassy little waitress. But in their career, my dad, he retired as an executive chef, and my mother, she retired as
Wow.
a purchasing manager. And so with my mom's job, she had a pretty cool job where she had millions of dollars in the budget for the hotel that she can spend on purchasing goods for the property. And my dad, he's a phenomenal and wonderful chef. And also, fun fact, I actually met my husband the same way at work, working at a hotel. And so he was my boss, but now I'm his boss. At least that's what I like to say. But now he's a general manager.
Wow. Now, just in giving your intro, you talked about several areas of hotels that people don't realize exist.
Hmm.
So obviously, every area is going to have always going to have a need for hospitality for conferences, for business travelers, for people passing through, for tourist attractions, for events. And here in
Hmm.
Mississippi, we have the casino industry, which is so big. And like I said before we started recording, $7 billion in tourism dollars came through the state of Mississippi last year,
Woo!
which is
That
comparable
is awesome.
to the city of Houston. So it is, people don't think of Mississippi as being a tourism spot, but because of the growing need for hotel rooms, the growing growth
Hmm.
of casinos and restaurants, that is not going away. So you mentioned there in a hotel, your mother was in purchasing, so you have financial
Hmm.
people in hotels. Your
Yes.
dad was a sous chef. These all these resort hotels have the food service side of it, so there are people in the
Hmm.
kitchen that have to cook for these huge conferences. If it's a convention
Yeah.
center space, they could be feeding 500 to 1,000 people at a time. And I know what you do now in sales. Obviously, your background starting out was at the front desk with the face-to-face
Hmm.
customer service. But when you
Yeah.
have people saying, "Look, we're coming to Houston on this date," you arrange all those reservations and try to get them rates to get them to buy as many rooms as possible. Obviously,
That.
we whenever we go places, we see the housekeeping people. There's maintenance people. There's
Yes.
security. There's security people. There are now more than ever software people because of all the online reservations and all the security of people's information. So
Hmm.
that's the ones that I know. So tell us about some of these other areas of a hotel that maybe people don't realize exist that you can make a lot
Oh,
of
wow.
really good money in.
Yeah. So the other thing is, like you were talking about, as far as like culinary and food and conferences, there's also banquet managers. So there are people who that's their entire job is to be able to host a banquet to make sure everything goes seamlessly, everything goes wonderful for a banquet of 1,000 people or a wedding of 500 people, so that all the guests are served at the right time at the different courses of their dinner, or if there's a conference and there's speakers. And also another side of it too is AV, audio and visual. So you can actually work at a hotel, get your employee discount, get to travel, the world on a discount as an employee, and you can work in AV where you're setting up the audio for the conferences, you're setting up the video for the conferences, and even the lighting. So that's also something that's really cool that some people may not know about.
Yeah, and I know something that you've also done as well is you've done a lot of
Mhm.
social media marketing and marketing in the Houston area and all over the country because obviously Houston is a tour is a destination city. So there's always a need for marketing, always a need for marketing people. And something I didn't even think about, there's interior designers that are
Yeah,
very much needed in the hotel industry.
that's another thing. There's so many things that go into not only operating a hotel, but when a hotel is being built, like you mentioned, interior designers, interior decorators, even some hotels, depending on the actually, if it's more of a resort, they actually have in-house florists that are on property to make sure that there's flowers everywhere around the hotel. Like think of maybe Bellagio, a casino in Vegas. They always have a beautiful florist display, and they more than likely, in order to have that happen, they either have a team in-house or outsourced just for that. So even in those little bitty details, those things matter. So there's so many different things besides working at a front desk or even working in housekeeping. Those are great professions, and that's how you can easily start. But there's so much more in hospitality.
Yeah, and I know you got in the industry right out of high school, and there's
Mhm.
obviously that's one pathway into it. And I'm not, and I'm all about giving kids options because we have four great university programs here in Mississippi that have hospitality management, including casino management at the University of Southern Mississippi. And these places do a great job of preparing people for those management positions. But if you're someone like yourself, because we have kids all the time say, look, I want to get into XYZ industry, but I'm not really sure I want to go to college. This is a type of industry where if you have people skills, you have sales skills,
Yes.
you have good presence about yourself, and a willingness to learn, you can learn an industry and move up rather quickly. And then I hear kids say all the time, I want to live in XYZ city. And I was just having a conversation with
Oh,
another teacher down the hall a minute ago about all these fast growing cities in the United States you see. They're growing because
yes.
of hospitality professionals. People are moving to Las Vegas to work in the hospitality industry. People are moving to Atlanta,
Yes.
Miami because they need hospitality people to live there and work.
Yes. I mean, there's even something in our industry called task force where your assignment is to go to different hotels and help manage them, whether it's about time for them to be opening up, or if there is a gap between, let's say they need a general manager and you're fulfilling that gap until they find someone. And that's another job where you can travel
Wow.
while working in the industry. The best thing I can say as far as, and I'm so impressed to hear about the tourism in Mississippi because that is amazing. Um, the best thing I can say also about the industry is that one thing that I can say that is exciting is when your city has a huge event happening. Like you're talking like Vegas. I'm pretty jealous of Vegas right now. They had the Formula One. They also then turn around and had the Super Bowl. So you're talking about all these tourists that are coming into the city and spending money. And that also helps the local economy and the local businesses as well, like the mom and pop businesses, to thrive. So that's one thing I do like. And even funny fact, Taylor Swift coming into these different cities had an impact our on our on our dollars as far as our local economy. She helped boost us up. So I'm thankful for Taylor
Yeah.
Swift.
Now that is funny. I'm glad you mentioned. I forgot about that. I was looking at some hotel rooms in New Orleans, and they had, he said our rates are this, but it said asterisks. It said these dates will have higher rates, and it had the Super Bowl, it had the Bayou
Mm-hmm.
Classic, which is a big HBCU football game, and then it
Yes.
said Taylor Swift Eras Tour. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yes. She's like the queen right now. She is the queen right now.
Now, no, but that was cool you mentioned that because obviously Vegas, Orlando, Chicago are kind of the standard when it comes to hospitality. But we know anytime you have an event anywhere, that's more mouths to
Hmm.
feed, that's more people you have to have a clean room for, that's more needs
Yes.
you have to meet. So the hospitality is all about meeting customers' needs. Because obviously, if you can't meet the customer's needs, they're going to go spend their money somewhere else. So, what are some
Yes.
ways and some skills that someone could have to do well in this industry because obviously being in the hotel industry you meet a variety of strange needs that customers may have.
You're not lying about that. I think the one thing for me, I had it. I was lucky enough that I had an internship in high school with the Marriott, and so
Wow.
that kind of helped me. That kind of helped prepare me, and I also got intern of the year. And I was a junior in a class full of seniors as well, so I was pretty proud of myself. But that helped me a lot. To see, I had a perspective of how my dad worked in the kitchen and things of that nature. But what you'll need is, when I started off as a hostess, and I was pretty much like a fly on the wall. But working in hospitality, it made me more of a social butterfly. I'm getting to meet people from all over the world. And like you just mentioned about requests, sometimes people from another planet, because, some people, they have champagne taste, but they're on a beer budget. So, or they have, steak taste, but they're on a pork chop budget. And so, yes, so it's just about treating the guests the best way that you can. But it just really helped me get to meet more people and wanting to travel more. And that's one thing I really do enjoy about it. And another thing, as far as working in hospitality, it's not just hotels. It's also working in large, convention center. We have George R. Brown Convention Center, and they too are hosting conventions or like Comic Cons or just different, events. And they too have to serve the guests and everything as well. So and also arenas. You're talking basketball arenas, you're talking baseball stadiums. So there's so much more than just a hotel as far as hospitality. Or restaurants. There's so much more.
Yeah, and especially, even in Jackson, we have a large convention center in downtown Jackson that hosts like everything from high school proms to roller derby. So it really is a variety of crowds that you'd be able to interact with. And every time these people are here, they're going to have different needs, and it takes a well-run event to have a successful venue.
Mm-hmm.
Now, something I know you're very passionate about is you started a nonprofit called Reimagine Hospitality because it's not an opinion, it's a fact. Segregation really hit the hospitality industry as far as professionals because for a long time, women and minorities could work in hotels, but they were in the back cooking or they were housekeepers.
Mm.
Um, and
Mm-hmm.
that trend has been changing over the years, but it's something that you're really looking to change. So, talk about Reimagine Hospitality and some of the things that you do,
Oh,
not just in Houston, but all over the state of Texas and the country.
yeah. So for Reimagine Hospitality, and I'm so glad that you mentioned it. For me, I think it was really surprising to me to learn that less than 1% of African Americans are in a leadership or executive leadership position in hospitality, and even less than that when it comes to hotel ownership. I was surprised by that statistic because I grew up with my father being an executive chef and with my husband being a general manager. So I did not know that those limitations existed because the men in my life did not weren't the certi- wasn't the statistic, I should say. Um, so I, yeah, oh my goodness, you really touched me when you're talking about segregation, and that is true. But one thing I can say is that this industry is one of the very few industries where your hard work can pay off if you don't have a quote unquote college education. And two, if you decide to get a college education, well, that helps you a little bit further. You may not have to spend that many years trying to work that hard, but still, there's hard work got to go into play with it. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. Yeah, and another thing I forgot to mention, because I spent 11 years working in the restaurant industry, so I'm somewhat familiar with the industry. But if
Yeah.
you're a person that doesn't want to get up early in the morning and wants to work at night, hospitality industry is
Yes,
24 hours a day. There always
it
there's always a need for nighttime people. There's always a need for overnight people,
is.
and these are not just minimum wage jobs.
Yeah. They
Especially
pay
here, especially
really.
here in the casino industry. Casino professionals are at work at night. You don't see a whole lot of casino professionals working during the daytime because their busy time is at night. Restaurant people are the same way. I'm sure your dad would be an executive chef. He was working when people were at dinner at night. So if you are, I
Hmm.
have kids all the time say, "Man, I don't like getting up early." Well, this could be a great fit for you because you can
Yes.
sleep in pretty much every day.
And they pay really well. Another thing as far as working, you can also work loss prevention, where you're working security at a hotel or a resort, and that too, you'll have your perks and your benefits as well for, travel. I'm all about that. I'm all about using your employee discount. I was just in Scottsdale, Arizona, and my rate was $89, and I was staying at a Kimpton, which is like one of our high-end properties for IHG. So really, I take full advantage of my employee discount. I'm not, that's probably why I'm still in the industry as long as I've been. I
Well,
love it.
now now before I get to the students' questions,
Hmm.
just a couple more things I wanted to hit on is that, um, and I did mention this earlier, but I really want to focus on the fact that these kids, and I can speak for all other teachers that are going to see this later. Um, these kids want to get so upset when we make them present or we make them speak in front of a class, but that's a type of skill in this industry that can lead you to shoot up rather quickly because
Hmm.
people in the hospitality industry, they know how to sell things, they know how to present things, they know how to present a wine
Yes.
bottle to somebody at dinner, they know
Mm.
how to present a
Yes.
room upsell to a guest, they know how to present a
Mhm.
venue to someone looking to book. So, how important are those skills? I'm not, obviously me and you are comfortable speaking in front of large groups and everybody's not that comfortable, and that's fine,
Yeah,
but being
it
able to
takes time.
speak and present yourself and have presence, walk in a room and introduce yourself, walk in a room and
Hmm.
say, I'm XYZ, we're selling this and this is why you should buy this. Why are
Hmm.
those skills so important, even with or without a college degree? Why are those skills so important in this industry?
It's important just in general to be able to have, I think that's a self-esteem thing as well. Um, it's important to be able to walk in a room and be fully who you are, and to be able to introduce yourself, and not only that, to be not only knowledgeable for within yourself of who you are, but also most importantly of what you're presenting, being knowledgeable of your menu, being knowledgeable of your property. If you have space, how many square feet is it? What is the room types that you're selling? What is included in a room versus, a regular room versus a suite? And that way you can always upsell to the guests. You can always, make more money, or even if you're working something that's commission based, if you're in sales, you're looking to more upsell, or if you're serving a guest and you are a waiter, you want to upsell the guests so that at the end, when they go and do their tip and that percentage, you're getting more because they spent more. So I think that comes with growth. And then there's some jobs where you can have it where you can take phone calls and do reservations, but still you are dealing with guests, and you're still active um, doing that. But it's really important to have that self-confidence of when you walk into a room, you people can feel your presence, and you want people to feel your presence. You want people to know I'm here.
Absolutely. Now, another skill and another job that I forgot about that's huge in this industry is lifeguards, as lifeguards and aquatics
Yes.
people, especially, in,
Oh.
in Mississippi, Louisiana, Florida. Swimming pools are getting more and more extravagant and more elaborate. You need aquatics
Mm-hmm.
people to have training. You need people to train lifeguards. You need people to train to train the aquatics room people. So the aquatics is another huge industry that is getting even bigger in
You,
hospitality.
and you know what? Else is I actually had a guest who is that I had a guest here at the property who is a scuba diving instructor, and she came all the way from Florida, traveled from Florida to Texas to teach scuba diving, or
Wow.
and also not scuba diving, I should say, lifeguarding. So it was like a mix of scuba diving and lifeguarding, and she came all the way. She was traveling for that to teach, to instruct. So there's so many things. One thing I can definitely say about hospitality is that it is a really good foundation, because in any business venture, no matter where you work, you have to be hospitable to other people. It doesn't it's just a really good foundation for things in life. You're going to come across different people with different points of views, different walks of life. Um, but it's so good to know, like, how can you be hospitable? How can you care about someone? And I think that makes a difference.
Yeah, and and I'm glad you made that point before I get to these questions, is that even if you just don't, if you did, there you are. Even if you just do this
Hmm.
part-time in high school or do it part-time in college, these skills are so transferable because
Yes.
even if you want to be in full-time sales, what better time to get practice working face to face with customers? So
Yeah.
the skills in hospitality are so transferable to other industries.
And to your point, um, as far as skills being transferable, my father, he was a chef for over 30 years until he retired at age 50. And now he is a car salesman for BMW. He was a person in the back of the house, not just cooking, all that kind of stuff, running the kitchen. And now but he loves people, very charismatic, never met a stranger. But now he's a salesman. He's selling luxury cars in his second act of life. And I'm very proud of him because that takes a lot of courage to change up your career, what you were known for. My dad could have easily taught at a culinary school or started his own catering business and not even blink an eye. But now he's working in luxury vehicles selling, and it's so much transferable skills. I mean, now he's picking up deals. That's what they're saying.
That's awesome, and what a place to be doing it in South Texas. That's got to be a great market for it. Question the students. I get to as many of these as I can. This first one is Colton Johnson. He's in ninth grade, and he asked, "What job do you think has the most responsibility in a hotel?"
I would say a job, Colton. That's a very good question. I love being in ninth grade. The job that has the most responsibility of a hotel, of course, is the general manager. They are over everything and everyone, and they have the most biggest responsibility. They also have to handle finances, and they also have to speak to ownership as far as what is going on with the property and the property success and revenue.
Yeah, and it really is a very diverse job. This is Herbert Carmichael, and he asked, "What are some of the experiences a person would get working in this career?"
I think the experiences that someone will get is an enrichment of learning people, also growing in their communication, problem solving, because there's always a problem maybe to solve. And the other thing is possibly the opportunity to be able to travel at an affordable price. I'm all about that. I'm all about the employee discount.
Hey, yeah, you and your husband got to have to visit the Mississippi Gulf Coast, see some of the properties down there. I think y'all have a great time.
Yes.
This is Caden Williams, member of our football team and our newly South State champion powerlifting team, which won yesterday. And
Congratulations.
he's in ninth grade as well. He asked, "Do you think if you went to college, it would have been easier or faster to work yourself up in the industry?"
Yes and no at the same time. So I did go to college, but it wasn't for hospitality. I went to college for photography, and that was something, in my heart at the time when I was younger, and I just I was going to college and working at the hotel, and eventually the hotel won. But something fun to share. I just returned to school last year, so I'm studying graphic design, and for me, it's more so of completing my education so that I can have that piece of, what, I finished what I started. And the other thing too, for me, as far as doing graphic design, I want to be able to do advertisements for the property. I want to be able to create menus. I want to be able to design keys for the hotel. I want to be able to, the property I just worked at, they just did a whole new rebranding. So someone that was a graphic designer had to come up with that new logo, that new look and feel. And so that's something that I'm personally striving towards.
Yeah, and then another thing is that a lot of these major corporations, IHG, Hilton, MGM, some of these larger hospitality industries will give benefits of tuition reimbursement. So if you wanted to get
Yes.
in the industry and then go to college later, even going part time, there are benefits and ways to do that.
Yes, there is. You were correct.
This is a good one. This is Mariah LaFleur. She's a junior, one of members of our volleyball team, and she asked, "What are the biggest obstacles you face in the hotel industry, and how did you overcome them?"
Hmm. I think the biggest obstacle I faced maybe was, quote unquote, dealing with customers. The second thing was dealing with people, managers, people that managers in a sense of, you may learn this later in life. There's sometimes you'll work with people or leaders who don't want to train you or give you their knowledge because that's job security for them. But really, that job security is really an insecurity because you are not teaching your staff or not training them up in such a way that they are self-sufficient and they only have to come to you and you're the only person that they need. And that act of quote unquote job security of not sharing knowledge is actually an insecurity. And there's plenty of room at the table for people to grow. And the other obstacle I would say was 2020. It was very devastating in the pandemic because no one was traveling. Um, and no, it was just very, very devastating for our industry. But I'm glad that that happened. It will not happen, but that is over with and that we can move forward. And I think that we're becoming more stronger than ever because people have that travel fever and they want to travel more and go places. So I'm happy
Absolutely.
that we're better than we were before. And we came up with new, different ways to be successful.
Absolutely. Well, I got time for one more. This is Rondell Ellis, and he asked, "What do you enjoy most about this industry?"
What I enjoy most is meeting new people. And the other part is having the opportunity to travel and stay at one of the nicest, some of the nicest properties that I may not been able to otherwise. It's really a privilege.
Well, we're almost out of time, and as always, we thank you for taking some time to join us. But before we go, just let these kids know, why does the hospitality industry need good young people to get into it to help make this industry better?
The sooner you can get in, the sooner I can retire. But not only that, this is a global industry. You can work anywhere in the world. I had a coworker, she was going to hospitality school and she had in her heart to go and live in New York and work at, one of those big fancy hotels in New York. This is a global industry. You can go anywhere in the world and work at a property. So I think that that is something that is special. And yeah, I think that is really cool.
Awesome. Well, and if anybody, they need a room in Houston, hit her up at the Holiday Inn Express. They're in downtown Houston in the beautiful city of South Texas. We thank you so much for joining us, Loren Brown, all the way from Houston, Texas. Talk to you soon, friend.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Talk to you soon.